Welcome everybody back here at Veil of Sound. And I'm very, very happy to once again have somebody on the show who's already been here, but with a different project, with his, I hope he doesn't mind, with your main band, with UFOMAMMUT.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy to have Urlo here on the show again, but this time we want to talk about Vermont.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello. Cool to have you back again. And as usual, we start the interview with a plug of the day, so you can plug a record, a band, a project that you are not involved in and that you think needs a little more support. I'll give you a second while I plug a band that when I listened to your new record, To Songs of Embrace, it somewhat reminded me of this German band, which is actually located, I think, 80 kilometers east of me here, Tan. A very, very crowd rocky thing, which also very often has a lot of synth infused stuff. So that's what I would like to plug. Tan.
How is spelled?
Zahn. It's
Okay.
teeth in German.
Okay. I'm gonna check them. I don't know them. So good.
Yeah. Which band would you like to plug or project?
I don't know. A name that comes to my mind now is the band called Beak from UK.
Yeah.
And it's a band I really love, and especially there's I think maybe it's not their first album, but not the last one, let's say, but the previous album, there's a song that I really, really, really love that is called Where We Fall. And I think it's one of my favorite songs in the last years because it creates this, I don't know, it starts with this strange mm, how do you call it in English? I think it's the same than Italian. It's arpeggio.
Yeah, it's the same in English, of course.
Yeah, great arpeggio. That is a little weird because it's like a trembling arpeggio, and then there is this song growing little by little, and then it opens, and I don't know. It's a really sad song, in my opinion, but it's really, really great. So, Big is coming to my mind right now.
I looked it up for you. It's from their 2018 record.
Yeah, it's not new. But I really like it.
Yeah, and I mean, there is also some kind of sound similarity, and I also think some kind of approach that is similar. When I was preparing for this, one thing that really struck me when I try to describe UFOMAMMUT, I very, very often use colors. I very often say, okay, this is what a burning sun looks like. Bright orange, some reds, some very intense yellows. And when I then revisited Songs of Abandon and then visited Songs of Embrace, this is much more blue. Can you understand that? To me, there is a lot of nightshady blue.
Okay, blue, yeah. Well, blue is also a word that we use for sadness, right?
Yeah,
when someone is blue, and yeah, it's a color that I usually don't use too much, honestly, but it can be in some way. Yeah, I like it for these two albums. Yeah, sure, and I think that probably I would use something more like a sort of dark red for the atmosphere, but the blue one is a word that I like too. The word blue is like, so it can fit. Yeah, sure.
So we've already basically hinted at it. So the new record, Songs of Embrace, is the sister record to Songs of Abandon, which you released, if I correctly, in November, at the beginning of November. And So first of all, there must be a question. We have two records that are really different, like really, really different.
Yeah.
But that work perfectly together. But my question is life for you more about the duality of things like left and right, or is it about the space in between?
This is a difficult question. I don't know exactly. I mean, once upon a time when I was younger, it was more black and white, so left or right and so on. Today, it's more in the middle. I try to find things more to meet things in the middle and try to understand the way to go to the left and to the right. So I think like these two records are, if you take them separately, they are probably left and right, black and white. I mean, the first one is more acoustic, more, let's say, in some way easy, more listenable, and more
It's
classic.
something like a dark singer-songwriter thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Some more folk music.
Yeah.
There's a second part that came from the first one. It is way different because it's more, first of all, it's instrumental only, and then there is um, a subtle, massive use of synths that make the atmosphere more dark, more heavy in some way. So I think that for listening to them, the good thing is to listen them together. I mean, first Songs of Abandon and then the other one, but not, let's say, pick a song and listen to it because I think that especially Songs of Embrace works better as a continuous flow of sound. And that was the way I intended when I wrote it.
Yeah.
Because you can take a song from the first one, from Songs of Abandon, and listen to it. You can, of course, do it with Songs of Embrace too, but it's more. It started like a continuous flow. So it started with the first the pitch that opened the album, and then I started in working on making it grow, 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 and change it. And I quite never went back to the first song when I was writing. I don't know, the third one.
Yeah.
Maybe the only thing I did it was when I finished it to listen to it, and it was about 50 minutes longer. So it was too much, I think, because it was really, really, really repetitive. Repetition was too much. The layers I built were somewhere, in some parts, really too exhausting in some way for listening to it. So the only thing I did was to cut it and create the final shape of the song. So I just forged it to reach the length that I thought it was good. So, but it started from the point H to the point Z. All in this way.
There is also, of course, one reason why it's easier to pick one track from Songs of Abandon than one track from Songs of Embrace, because on Songs of Abandon, you have vocals, you are telling stories, you are giving us ideas, something that we can think about. On Songs of Embrace, we have to do that, and it's very cool that we are given the opportunity to do it. When did you make the decision that Songs of Embrace would be an instrumental album?
Since the beginning, when I started to write, because when I finished Songs of Abandon, it seems to me like it was okay. It can be my next album, but I don't know. There was something missing because I thought it was something was not complete. So I started to think about the way it could be completed, and I started in thinking that a sort of long song was going to happen, and it was the idea behind the Songs of Embrace. And I didn't want to sing anymore on this album. I tried just for one song, then I said no, I don't like it. I prefer if it's just instrumental. And I gave to the titles of the song the main importance to describe what's the emotion for me between them, and to leave a sort of freedom to play around with quotes and imagination for the song. So, for example, there is the first song is the Invocation of the Abyss that comes from the, let's say that is something that raised little by little. The song goes up like if someone is trying to coming out of as the title says an abyss to go to the next step that is um, linked to the album before. So there is these three males that are the ones in the cover of Songs of Abandon, and one art should be mine, and so on. So everything was everything is closed into these titles and creates the story, and say that the vocals of the album are just the titles.
But then again, of course, you are totally right. But the titles can give the audience an idea what the song is about. But at the same time, if you just listen to the record, maybe because it's an instrumental one, you don't have to look at any lyrics, and you just let it flow. And it flows very nicely from song to song to song. And at some point, that also happened to me, I forgot which track is which. And that was very, very interesting, because all of a sudden you initiated and you started something that is one ongoing flow for more than half an hour. And it has, just like you said, it has a lot of repetition, a lot of ambience. And I know that with UFOMAMMUT and also for your own projects, most of the tracks I think I remember are based on the guitar.
Yeah.
How was it this time? I'm sure that most of the stuff for Songs of Embrace was conceived on the synth, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It was, and there's a main piano part that is recording in different songs that linked everything together. This was the first thing that came to my mind. So I started with the idea of working around this thing, and also the notes of some parts that are not too much recognizable because they change in the shape comes from this first note. And the idea of working a different way from everything I did before, because let's say that the first album, Dr. Leben, was also based on synths, but in a different way. I was a mixture of the things, while Songs of Abandon is more just, let's say, guitar with some inserts and so on. So this time was apart from a couple of songs that are Incantation and, if I'm not wrong, the Sigil, all the other songs are based on synths. There's one with the bass that is Sovereign of Silence, but everything comes from the creation of a first atmosphere. So that is the synth part, because it's something that I was experimenting in this time when I was writing the album, and I was saying that I want to try to do something different every time, because this is my solo project, so it's different than working with UFOMAMMUT. We can try, we do in our mind something different every album, but let's say that the structure is always guitar, bass, synth, and drums. So with them on, I can just do what I want and to experiment. And it was like the album, the creation of the album is like a RuPaul where I put my mind and I said, okay, let's try to figure what can come out. And also for Songs of Abandon, it was guitar and voice at the beginning, like an exercise that every day I created a song and so on. So every time there is a sort of cure for my soul to say, okay, if I want to feel good, I have to do this in that way and not to repeat what I have already done. So I don't know, next album, maybe I can try with the trumpet, but I have to with the trumpet, but I have to learn before. So we'll see.
Then please allow me the question: if Vermont is your playground, how much of Vermont at some point also flows into UFOMAMMUT? Maybe not when it comes to certain songs, but skills, maybe atmospheres.
Yeah, let's say that since I've started in working with the Mon, I've changed a little my approach with the UFOMAMMUT too, because I started in experimenting more with the instruments and also with my voice. So I tried to also in UFOMAMMUT to use it in a different way, more than in the past. In the past, it was more like an instrument, but it was full of effects and everything. Now I'm trying to use it as an instrument, but trying to reach different levels that I didn't use in the past. And also with the composition, working with myself and feeling more say free to do what I want is very important because it helps with UFOMAMMUT too in trying to experiment more and create. Let's say I'm a little less shy in doing things now. I'm more focused in what I want to reach and so on. And obviously, this reflects in also in my main project that is UFOMAMMUT. Yeah.
When listening to a record, of course, and also very often with UFOMAMMUT, one of the first things that people associate with your sound is some kind of 70s rock, crowd rock stuff, which is, I think, also something that you would not deny. And with this new record, I thought, okay, there is one German artist, Klaus Schultze. I guess you know that guy.
Yeah.
When I think about UFOMAMMUT, UFOMAMMUT would be like Tangerine Dream. And then this one is definitely more Klaus Schultze's solo projects, right?
This is a great compliment. Thank you.
But would you agree that there is this similar distance between the projects? When listening to Tangerine Dream, it's very different to Schultze's original, not original, later individual stuff. And when listening to UFOMAMMUT and then listening to Songs of Embrace, that's also very, very different.
Yeah, I think this idea this thing you're saying is fitting the projects because apart from the fact that I love Schultz and yeah, it's more. Let's say that in UFOMAMMUT there is a sort of progressive atmosphere that we try to do with the scenes and everything. While with the Demon, I think that the atmosphere is more um, like a soundscape or something more cinematic.
Yeah.
More, yeah. And in UFOMAMMUT, we used to create layers of sounds, but they always comes from the three of us, let's say. So from, we start with the guitar or bass and the rest other instruments and so on. While with the demon, it's more like there's a limit that is it's only me, but the limit is also okay. It's only me, so I can do whatever I want. Then the problem will come after when I have to play these songs live, maybe. But
we'll come to your tour in a moment.
And so this thing that the idea of being together and to share music with someone else is way different than create everything by yourself, because by yourself, okay, you can really use whatever you want and in the way you want. That is very, very important. There's no I mean, there is the judgment of other people, because when I create music, I usually ask, what do you think? And do you think this could work, or suggestions and so on. But in a different way, because it's not, no, I don't like this part. Let's do something else. It's what can happen in a band, and okay, I don't like this part. Maybe I can transform it. It's what can happen in a solo project. So, and the atmosphere, I think, is they are in some way similar. I mean, because one of the three is me, and then the other one is me. It's only me.
And in this case, so, it's only you. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so there is something that can link the music of UFOMAMMUT, the main atmosphere of UFOMAMMUT and the Mon. But I think that obviously there's something similar, but that goes on different paths, different ways.
You've just mentioned that the Mon is definitely very cinematic in a way. Question: do you like horror movies?
Yeah.
Then you will probably, I hope at least, understand when I say this is much more John Carpenter's Halloween than Goblin's soundtrack for Suspiria.
Yeah, of course. I don't like Goblins.
Yeah, but at the same time, the Suspiria soundtrack could be Songs of Abandon, and Songs of Embrace is Carpenter's Halloween.
Yeah, no, it could be right. I think that especially Songs of Embrace is the more soundtrack music, of course. While I noticed, and I realized after listening with it with a friend of mine, that Songs of Abandon is more psychedelic in a way, like Syd Barrett or Beatles, or more classical way. And while Songs of Embrace is purely more close to John Carpenter atmospheres or horror movies or things like that. And
definitely.
I like to always try to find something that is, let's call it, evil in what I do. I mean, I like to create this kind of tension that you can feel something inside that is a little eerie, a little disturbing sometimes. So it can be very close to horror movies and horror soundtracks, for sure. Yeah.
You have mentioned that it took you 9 days to write the Songs of Abandon, one song each day. How long did it take you to create Songs of Embrace?
Well, it took a little more, for sure, because as I said, I started from the beginning, and for reaching the end, like it is now, the albums, like the albums. And so it was I tried every day to understand, to listen to what I did, to see if there was some idea coming to my mind. And then not all the days were okay. I got this. So I think it took like a month to be almost complete. Then I started in working in cutting, working on the main structure, adding other scenes, other sounds, and so on. And while I was doing this, I was also listening back to Songs of London, and it was then that I had the I decided to add some little sound and change the mix, because originally it was more psychedelic, more delayed with lots of reverbs. And then listen to the second part, it was no, I don't like. I want to make the first part more, let's say, clean, with some atmosphere below, and then the second part can grow as it wants. So it was a strange way for me because it was working on one and on the other together at some point.
And I guess that it's also you've mentioned the word playground, so it's also always a thing of what can I do, how far can I take it, and then it's interesting that you say, okay, I took it to a certain level, and I noticed, okay, I have to cut it a little bit. Was the cutting harder than the creating?
In some songs, yes, because like for example, to understand if a song is too long or too short, sometimes it's quite difficult because you are used to listen to it in a way, and then you say no, it's too long because it was really at the end it was something like 50 minutes, but it was for me it was boring at some point because some parts were too repetitive, and some songs are really the same from the beginning to the end, even if they last 2 minutes. It's just like the sigil is one of his songs. And there is a little change, but nothing that you can say, oh wow, because they were conceived like a part in the middle, something that has a function in that moment. So yeah, it was for some parts of the record it was strange to cut because I noticed that when I was cutting the beginning, then there was the end that was maybe too long, or vice versa. So I had to understand exactly what to do and what how to make it. So it took a while.
Did you cut any song completely?
No, as I said, I tried to sing on a song.
Yeah.
I did it. Then when I listened to it after couple of weeks, I said no, and I had away the entire part, and then nothing more.
I think you released 2 songs off the album before it was released, and one of them was really interesting because you also said something about it, and that is the Ritual of Night Violence, which I found very, very interesting because the first thought, of course, is okay, we are thinking of a real crime that is happening at night. And when I then read what you said about it, it had much more to do with one person, and that person is maybe you as a creator, but also me as a listener. So it was about, and I hope if I'm wrong, please correct me, it is about this nighttime as the period of day when violence happens, and it's very often violence towards ourselves.
Yes, it's well, this is one of my favorite songs. I think
it's really well done. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it came out very good, and the sound I found is really, really something that I'm proud in some way. I mean,
you can be.
And the title came from the idea from listening to this song because it was something that was like that there is this sound popping at the beginning, and then there's heavy everything coming, and it's like wow, this is really violent, and and the song is like a ritual, and like the video I did with my friend Diego came out. It's like he's preparing to go out and kill someone or do some violence, while at the end he just found this little carry on that he plays. He disappears, and because the idea is that when we are in the night, we usually, I mean, personally, I think more in the night,
Yeah.
because I'm more with myself, and
We also we have less distraction from life.
yeah. Also, before sleeping, we usually do, let's say, um, a count of what the day was. So we say, okay, this is how it how it went, and in some way, it's we face ourselves, and it's a sort of ritual of violence. I mean, because we
Yeah.
say, okay, today was good, or no, today was not
Today was
good.
shitty, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I have to change something in me, and
Yeah.
this is a sort of violence because uh, we don't accept ourselves lots of time, and we face ourselves with what's outside, and we want to be different, while we should just say, okay, it was not good, okay, tomorrow it will be better, and
Yeah.
and this kind of violence is something that we have inside ourselves, because this society too is forcing forcing us to change, to be in a certain way, to do things in another, to accept the fact that there's a war because someone said there's something there we have to destroy because it's dangerous, and so lots of shit happens, or this territory is mine, or whatever. Like we are always children play, and like we say,
Yeah.
no, this is mine, give it to me, like, and we never change. So trying to understand that we are like we are, and we should accept whatever we are, and just be happy because we are living, we are doing things, and
Yeah.
whatever should be enough for us,
Yeah.
instead of create a sort of violence in our minds.
Yeah, and then there is also this thing, and it's interesting that you described it very close to what I thought. This violence is also some kind of brutal honesty, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Sometimes it's more violent. We make more violence on ourselves when we are accepting ourselves for
Yeah.
what we are, because we usually try to avoid this thing. I mean, when we speak with someone else and we don't agree with them, sometimes we say, no, I'm in the right part of the thing. And even if we realize that it's not like that, sometimes we will force ourselves to be always uh, the best, the
Yeah.
right person, and
We
so on.
try to convince ourselves that we are the
Yeah. And when we realize that is not always working like that, because in every relation, in every daily life, in every moment of our life, we are always a part of what's happening. So if there's a problem in a relation, okay, it's my fault, it's your fault, but
It's also
we are
mine.
two. Yeah, so we are two persons. So it couldn't be that only one is always right about things. So everybody should accept the fact that we are not perfect at the end. So it's important that we understand. We start in. We begin to ask excuse, to be more. How can I say, less mm, full of ourselves,
Yeah.
more.
But we fool us. Yeah, that's true, definitely.
Yeah, more animals probably, and less human
Yeah, in a way.
in a way.
You've already hinted at something that comes after everything has been done, recorded, and then also mastered and stuff. The thought about, okay, how am I going to do this on tour? When this is released on March 29th, you will be in the middle of tour. We will
Yeah,
have the remaining dates underneath this video, so you can still find out when you can see Urlo as the Mon. Um, I'm very sure you're going to play tracks from both records.
yeah.
But how do you then do it? Do you then really present the tracks as single tracks? Or do you go and say, like, okay, I want to mix them and weave them into each other?
I think that the Mon is as I already said, it's a different thing in my life. I mean, it's creating music, but it's like a never stopping in creating music. So there are some songs that I will play in a different way because it's more like this live is not like the UFOMAMMUT live show where you just play the songs and like they are, let's say, even if they are obviously a little different. With the one, I'm trying to create something that is more like I would say a ritual, but it's not the right word. It's something like more a communion of music, trying to make the songs as I feel them in that moment. So I noticed that there are some songs that are like, I don't know, from the songs of the band on Little Bird is more naked when I played live. Also, I've started in working on old songs like Confession from High or other ones that are more changed, make them different. Also, I will create something that is not always the same thing every night because otherwise it could be boring. And I have now a lot of songs to choose from, so I would like to do something that is a little different. And I'm also experimenting some songs like some covers that of songs that I love that I would like to try and do live in some occasion and so on. And I will be on tour with Cariti, that is a great artist. She's from she lives in Italy now, and she's from Russia, and so I think it will be a good combo. And let's see. So I hope people will react good. I'm quite curious to see this thing.
Will you play UFOMAMMUT tracks on the tour?
No, I did it in the past.
I understand that. I understand.
I did it because I did Stigma for a while for closing the show, but now I think things. I mean, I'm trying to detach myself from UFOMAMMUT as the month, so I think it's time to go by myself. I'm no more a child. I'm grown.
It's interesting that you say that you be more like yourself. Then why do you? It's not a negative question. Please don't get me wrong. I mean, like you perform as the man, not as Urlo.
Yeah.
Would that then be the last step? Urlo?
I hope so. I mean, I hope that the man will keep his own path.
Yeah.
And I will not need to say I'm Urlo of UFOMAMMUT and this is my new project. I would love to be just this is UFOMAMMUT, this is the Mon, this is Urlo, and is in all these things, but they are all by themselves. So I think it will take a little because obviously as the Mon is more difficult because when I started with UFOMAMMUT, times were way different for music and
more than 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, it was almost 30 now. So
yeah,
it was way different. Today is quite difficult, but it's a challenge, so it's good.
And then last question before we come to the quickfire round. The Mon. I'm very sure you are aware that the Mon, I mean, like there is no word in the English language that I know of, which is Mon. A lot of syllables. Demon. Monk.
Yeah.
I've read that in Japanese, Mon is the gate.
Yeah.
Did you want to have this project name that is unclear, but might be a lot of things?
Well, the first idea was about the gate, the Japanese gate, but Mon only was a little
Too short, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like it. So putting the article, it was weird because it sounded like demon in some way. So it was
some drunk Americans will probably say like demon.
Yeah. Exactly. And so it was
drunk
very
Germans
good.
Too. Don't worry.
Yeah, Italians too, probably. And so it was okay. This sounds good. Then there was the idea of the monk, the idea of something that was sacred, and but with the article, it was good. The only problem with the article is that sometimes people say, Mon, I put Mon on the poster for the show. No, it's the Mon, please.
Yeah.
So, because obviously, and the first time it was quite also difficult when dealing with the name that is so short, and because I was used to use UFOMAMMUT, that is quite a weird name, and you can remember it, and it's long and so on. And then I changed with this, let's say, more classic name, and it was a little strange. But I'm happy that it's understandable.
Yeah, understandable on many, many, many levels. Just like both of the records are understandable on many, many, many different levels. However, you know how it is here at the Vela Sound. You've been here before. You know that we always end these interviews with a quick fire round. You will get two alternatives. You have to choose one of them and maybe give a short explanation. As this record, as Songs of Embrace, reminded me so much of movies, you will basically only get stuff that is related to movies. And I very often will give you soundtracks. So let's start off with the first one. You have to choose between the soundtrack for The Omen by Jerry Goldsmith versus Friday the 13th by Harry Manfredini.
I think the first, The Omen.
The Omen? Can you say why? Apart from the fact that I think Damien is a cooler character than...
Yeah, and it's more, I don't know, eerie in some way, more weird, strange. So I remember also better. So honestly, I would say this one.
I'm very sure that from the next couple, there will also be one that you remember more than the other. Both artists are really, really famous. I'll give you Philip Glass soundtrack for Candyman from 1992 versus Bernard Herrmann's soundtrack for Psycho.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was sure you would choose that. Would you also agree that the string sounds that he produced for this soundtrack, or that he wrote for this soundtrack, are maybe some of the most iconic strings ever?
Yeah. Because it's something. I mean, when you think about Psycho, you hear this.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's incredible, really.
Yeah, and to be able to do that with just basically a few notes that are then repeated. I mean,
it's something like Morricone with some parts of his of the Sergio Leone Western movies.
It's interesting that you talk about Morricone, because he is part of the next couple. Which composer do you like more, Ennio Morricone versus Nino Rota?
Morricone, Morricone, because he was more. There was more genius in what he did. I mean, I was thinking about the song where he found this old guitar that was not in perfect
non-perfect shape, right?
And they used it for this song, and it's incredible. And when you look, when you watch the movies with Morricone soundtracks, it's incredible how they are mixed into images and music are working together so great. That is
I
incredible.
mean, like, we have to admit that Nino Rota's soundtrack for The Godfather is just amazing.
Yeah, of course.
But I have to say that when it comes to Morricone, I could name many more movies which he scored.
Yeah.
Nothing against
Well,
Rota, but Morricone is just unique in a way.
Yeah.
And another couple of Italians, Giorgio Moroder versus Piero Umiliani.
Probably Umiliani.
Okay. Can you say why?
It's more, I don't know, because it's more, I don't remember the movies, but I know that there are a few of them that I always said, oh, this is not Morricone, who is this one? Oh, okay, Umiliani. So it's another one that is quite into our background,
Yeah.
not conscious background, let's say.
I will now give you two soundtracks for movies by the same director, and they are not always considered as original soundtracks because Stanley Kubrick incorporated a lot of classical music into his movies. And you basically decide whether you like the soundtrack better for 2001, Space Odyssey, or for Clockwork Orange.
Clockwork Orange, absolutely, because it's really genius, especially in some parts when they dress, for example, or when they go into the house of the lady. It's there are all these music that is also the Beethoven stuff that is played in a different way with scenes and everything. It's a great soundtrack. 2001 is more classic, let's say. Even if there is the opening scene that is memorable, but
that opening scene is probably the best combination of score and picture at the same time.
Yeah.
Now we turn it around. Now I'll give you one composer, but for me at least, the two of his scores that I know best. Vangelis. 1492 versus Blade Runner. Should be easy.
Blade Runner. Yeah. Yeah.
Although I like the very, very atmospheric, very classical things that he did for 1492, and then the choirs and all that. That is really huge. So the soundtrack is much better than the movie.
Yeah, but sometimes there is I mean, the movie is so perfect that the soundtrack in it make the movie even more perfect. So, like Blade Runner, for example, is one of these examples. I think that it creates the atmosphere of the movie and everything. So, yeah.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, like we have to admit that the guy is basically a genius at whatever he does.
Yeah.
And now, again, one composer with very different soundtracks. Probably the most successful movie scorer ever, John Williams. Because the guy, I mean, like, one might not like his movies, understandable, but the soundtracks are just very, very good. And this time I'll give you the movies. Harry Potter versus Star Wars.
Star Wars. Because I don't like Harry Potter and I love Star Wars, so especially the first three, the old ones, and so I would say Star Wars, absolutely.
And the last one is something that is like very close to my mind, and I've said that there is some krautrock thing in your music, and so I have to give you two German krautrock bands. And in a way, they also for me, they stand a little bit for the diversity between songs of abandon and songs of embrace. I'll give you Kraftwerk versus Can.
This is difficult.
I know, that's why I'm ending with it.
Yeah, because they are totally different, let's say, and Ken is very free, and Kraftwerk are really like a train on the streets.
Yeah, train on the
But
autobahn, huh?
yeah,
That's
but I
okay,
would
great.
say probably Kraftwerk
Okay.
because there are some songs that are in my mind sometimes, and I think about them. And while Ken, yeah, I like them, but not in the same way. Let's say.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, it would always be Can, but for personal reasons, they recorded their stuff basically 10 kilometers from my house,
Okay.
where I grew up. Um, but I can agree with you. When it comes to songs, it must be Kraftwerk, no question.
Yeah.
When it comes to records,
Yeah.
then I would always choose Can. But I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Urlo.
Also,
Yeah, you go
I
in.
also love the sorry. I also love the way Kraftwerk are on stage. So it's
Yeah.
they created something really strange and
Yeah.
unique. So it's I like it.
Yeah, and I mean, like we have to admit that without Kraftwerk and without Klaus Schultze, Tangerine Dream, there a lot of what we discovered as electronic music
Yeah.
would probably only have come out a little later. So
Yeah.
those guys were really fantastic pioneers.
Mm, I agree.
Urlo, thanks for your time. Thanks for the amazingly cool duo of records.
Thank you.
And I hope to see you on European stages. And I already know that I will see you at Road. So, Urlo,
Okay.
thanks for your time. See you there.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Take care. Bye.